All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Rob Review. Robert Morris here, your friend in success. I'm here to do this show simply because, I really get more out of it than you think I do, and really than you do. And so it's not a selfish thing. I want you to get a lot out of this show. I do this to benefit anyone watching, but it is a partial selfish thing because it reinforces things in me as I quote unquote teach them. I don't really want to think of myself as a teacher, but the more I do the show, the more I think that people see me as that. So today we're going to talk about some real heavy stuff that I think schools and educational institutions as a whole really skip over when you're 18, 19, graduate from high school, just going into college, or whether you go into the workforce. You miss out on these big pieces. And you have to learn them on your own. Well, the downside of learning them on your own is that many people never learn these, and they set you back from being able to accomplish, be successful, make the money you want to make in life. And so I'm calling this the 5 millionaire habits that I wish I knew when I was 18. But they're not just millionaire habits. They're just habits of people that live lives that they own, that are independent, that they feel they have control over, and they're important. The earlier you know this, the better. And so let's get into these pieces over the next 30 minutes right now. Okay, so why is this subject suddenly popping into my head? I mean, I'm certainly not going to go back to being 18, right? I don't want to ever think about going back there. But I hired this guy recently, a young 20-year-old cat, got a lot going for him, and I started talking to him through the process of training, and I figured out there was a lot of pieces to knowledgeable life success that he was missing. Fresh out of school, got a degree, higher education degree, but he's still missing these key pieces. And I realized that if I were forced to go back and start over again at 18, the one thing I would ask for is not to be able to have superpowers or be able to have infinite abilities. I would ask to have these 5 pieces of information stay in my head as knowledge that I could act on. That's why they're important to me, because I learned them the hard way. And because I did, I can never get that time back that I spent wasting not using these. And now life is about failures taking you from the next step on. Each failure, if you learn something from it, it's growth. That's what the idea of failing forward is about. But these interesting pieces, if they're missing from what you're doing, they can cause you to go way off course and take years off of your success path, which is really what happened to me, and we'll get into that. I mean, you don't need to hear my story. This is about you, but that's what I'm just saying, that the importance of these. This is not some investment guide. This is not some way to make more money. This is skills and thought processes. And so the first one I want to talk to you about is the idea that there's no substitution for a solid lead in life. And what do I mean by that? I mean, when you're going through school or after school, you can get sidetracked in life by things that fulfill you at the time but aren't really helping you out in the future. And it's not just about cutting out all fun, but I'm talking about things that just can totally lead you down a path that sets you behind all of your peers, and that lead in life can never be gotten again. So there's no substitution for understanding that you may not know it all, but you get started while you're young, and you have a lead in life that can never be gotten back. You're always going to be ahead of the game. It's like jumping off the starting line with a giant lead. You know you've already won the race. And this is the same sort of mindset, right? What kind of leads in life can you get at 18, 19, 20? Well, skills of life's success, the knowledge that there's certain practical skills, like understanding that you must act and fail, and actively fail to succeed. Getting habits put into your life that push you forward every day instead of just living. Reading, becoming a person that learns and a student of life. These are habits of successful people. Obviously, I talk a lot, but money habits. This show's about a lot of that. Those money habits are very important and easily instilled when you're young. As the older you get, and the more that life hits you, you have kids, you get married, it's harder to get from behind the 8 ball to instill those habits in a life that's already moving forward like a freight train. But when you're young and you're just getting started, just coming out of the starting gate, it's much simpler to get these money habits entrenched, and they carry you for the rest of your life. There's mastery of things. Not being a person that tries to do everything, but being a person that decides, I'm going to master this thing. And that thing may not be the thing that you do for the rest of your life, but it will do something for you. It will move you forward in some way that will eventually lead you somewhere. You cannot get anywhere by standing still. Becoming a student of your life. Being able to set yourself down, look at what's going on, and reflect to see what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, and how to grow. These things are not things that the average person does. And they're the things that set apart the people that get where they want to in life from the people that continually stay frustrated. And so that is what I'm talking about when I talk about a lead. There's no substitution for getting an early lead in life, right? Let's go a little bit deeper into some of this stuff. Money habits, simple things. Think about this. If you start at 18 with no knowledge of investing, read a couple of books, get in front of a couple of professionals, start putting aside $100 a week and investing in something like an IRA. There's no guaranteed statistic, but as a whole, the market moves in an upward pattern, in an upward trajectory, even with downturns and flat years. Let's say an approximate 5% growth. By the time you're 59 and a half years old, which is when you can withdraw from an IRA without penalty of tax, you can have hundreds of thousands. There's a chart somewhere that says $1 million to $1.5 million built up just investing in index funds without really knowing how to actively invest in anything else. Simply because you got started way ahead of the curve. Okay? Those habits get you a lead, and that lead, it can be constantly maintained if you wish. If you wish. Mastery, the thought process of you choosing what in high school what you want to do with the rest of your life is ludicrous. The only things I wanted to do in high school were party, have a great time, and live for whatever took me away from having to think about serious responsibility. So I was in no mindset to practically think about where I wanted to be in 20 years and what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And so you fall into things because they pay well, or because they allow you to have more free time, or because your girlfriend's doing it, whatever the case may be. It's not a situation of mastery. So how do you become a master at something? It's the idea of trying to reflect, think, proactively plan, be a little bit different than the rest, and choose something. And it doesn't have to be right. You just pick something and go after it. And like many people before you, huge names. Johnny Depp is one example. He never intended to be an actor, but because he chose to master himself as a musician, he fell into meeting people like Nicolas Cage that said he should try acting. And then that became a thing that he was so very gifted at, and he could see it. But he would have missed it had he never pursued anything. Had he never pursued one thing with vigor to the point where he turned everything else down. Walker Hayes, a musician a lot of people know. We play here on Country Cafe. We've interviewed him. He talked about the fact that he never thought about being a musician. He thought about being a professional sports star. But his pursuit of that led him to his musicianship, which led him to where he is today. And I could go on and on and on and on. That's just the idea of thinking about and going and look at some of your idols, some people that you really think hung the moon in your life. It's the rare breed of person that can be like a Warren Buffett and know from a very young age that they're going to be, this massively happy investor and tap dance to work every day. Everybody's not happy all the time. But the idea is to learn at a very young age that I think the strongest bid for happiness in life is to find something that you can get highly paid in and enjoy some. Become a master at. And the funny thing is, when you become a master at something, you enjoy it way more than you did when you were nobody. That mastery allows you to begin to enjoy a craft that you never thought you would enjoy, and maybe you become really incredible at it. You get highly paid at it, and it pays for a life that makes you happy. I believe that's the best bid for happiness. And that's something nobody talks about in school. Nobody sits you down when you get a diploma and says that. That's why I think when you're 18 or 19, you can be really misled into thinking that that diploma is a major sense of accomplishment. It's a sense of accomplishment for sure. But you're also going from being, top of your class, awesome GPA, in all these organizations. And then once you get that diploma and you walk out the door, guess what? You're at the bottom of the barrel again. You're starting over on a new journey, whether that's whatever you choose. Even going to college, you're starting over again. And that's a very tumultuous thing because you were on top of the heap and now you're back on. Well, in life, you have to learn to find that lead for yourself. Because if it's given to you, it can be taken away. But if you earn it, you always have it. All right? So that's the first thing. There really is no substitution in life for a solid lead early on. All right? Checking your ego. Checking your ego at the door. Most people just do not understand how much their ego hurts them. And it's a thing that creeps in on you when you least expect it. And in every way of life, especially I think men, myself, I have to constantly be aware of this. Because your ego can cause you to miss opportunities. It can cause you to totally blind yourself to the realities of a situation that you're in. And it can cause you to become a person nobody wants to be around. So humbling yourself to the point where you realize that being good at something, being great at something is okay to be proud, but don't have an ego about it. That's something that if you learn early, there's no question that you will, through life, make more friends and network at a higher level just because people enjoy being around you and more opportunities will come your way. Number 3, master keys to life success early. Things like a work ethic. No substitution for a massive work ethic because there's no get-rich-quick thing that's real. Failure is okay. In fact, it should be welcomed, but school teaches you that failing is wrong. You fail on a test, it's a bad thing. And that's flip-flop from real life, because in real life, you fail at something, you can learn. And you fail at it again, you learn. And each time, the stock market, something that I talk about frequently, is failing to succeed on a grand level. I learn more from trades that I do wrong than trades that I do right. And so when I lose money, I learn more. But it makes me able to put myself in a position to profit down the road. Communication skills. So many people lack it. Right now, I'm watching my daughter on her phone, and she is one of those generation. There's nothing necessarily wrong with it, except for when you see the lack of communication skills in some of them today. Now, some people have it because they're taught it at home, but some people don't. Communication skills will heads and tails above the rest get you a gig that you want versus somebody that doesn't have them, that has the same credentials you do. Communication skills in public speaking and just being able to stand above the rest. I'll tell you a story of how I learned that. I had a premiere of a film that I had worked for years on. And I was supposed to stand up and speak in front of the crowd, and I was emotional because of the subject matter of the film, and I didn't know how to control my emotions, which is something we're going to talk about in a second. That, coupled with the fact that I had never learned really how to publicly speak, I backed down on the opportunity, and I will forever have to deal with that. How do I combat that? Well, then I started the show, and I started speaking where I can, and I started helping to train people to kind of figure out how to tell their story in a public setting. And I've grown from that because I failed, and I stepped up to the plate and said never again. Relationships are gold in life. They're better than any monetary supplement for it. There's just nothing better than being able to have a connection with somebody that can get you in a door, or that can allow you to help somebody, or that can allow you to build a team, because most things in life that are massively successful and profitable are done with a group effort. And in that, you have to know how to build, cultivate relationships. A great book for that is that Dale Carnegie book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. If you study that and then apply it, I don't know why they don't teach this in school, but you'll be heads and shoulders above the rest. Daily reading habits. Nobody talks about this in school, but if you start to read a good book a week that helps make you think and be reflective and helps you have an edge, that growth will sustain you and get you a percentage or two better and closer to where you want to be. So let's go over that number 3. Again, mastering the keys to success early in life. What I think are keys to success: work ethic, solid money habits, understanding that failure is positive, okay, leads to success. Communication skills, reading habits, relationships, all those things. Number 4, there's a difference between mentors and gurus. Mentors, I think, are positive. But I think today we have an epidemic of people that want to find a way to spin themselves into being successful, and you can't do that. But there are people out there that want to take advantage of that. So the idea here is to think of it as a mentor can be a positive thing. A guru that wants to just take your money, bad idea. And the earlier you learn that, you will save yourself from thousands of dollars misspent. However, you have to analyze, because there are people that I've learned from that charge for their expertise, that have given me incredible knowledge, and I'm successful from. Most of those people, however, made me pay so I would pay attention versus they needed the money. Where a guru is usually somebody that is making you pay because they need the money. It's their business to educate you. And they don't have a personal relationship with you, and they don't care really whether you're successful or not. So be mindful of that. We're in a society now where internet education is all the rage. But it is something that could very well be a huge negative to you if you do number 5 and you continually chase what I call the shiny object. Okay? And gurus will do this to you. You jump from thing to thing to thing to thing, thinking it's the thing that you haven't found yet that's going to help you, not the fact that you haven't fixed this up here. I'm telling you, I have done it myself for years. I've lost probably 10 years on my success journey because I kept trying to find something else. All along, if I would have just started working on myself, the things that I was actually trying to use as business models would have worked. Don't chase shiny objects. When you find something that you're willing to work on and master, shut out the rest of the world. Disappear for a year or two. Not like off the grid, but from the internet and from having people give you opportunities, and just grind and soak in everything on that craft. And I bet you'll find yourself in a better position because of it. Here's an idea. Instead of investing in a program, go and do research and read books and watch videos and blogs on the subject to see if it's something that you can see yourself doing before you do it, before you make the investment. And you will probably save yourself a lot of heartache along the way. All right? Now that's the 5th and final one, the shiny object syndrome. Don't fall into that trap, guys. It's a real issue. And it's not just in money or investing or business. It's also in life. The idea that, you got a relationship that might not be working the way that you want it to. Well, it may not be the relationship itself. It may be you. Or it may be the fact that you need to work on it together. We have an epidemic in America of throw away the old for the new in many ways. Relationships, business. I think a lot of times, the last resort answer should be to move on to the next thing. That's all the time I have for you today. That's all the time that I really need to relate this subject to you. I could go deep into detail on all these, but I'll finish with the story. Because I learned these things the hard way, and I said that. And how that happened is not so important as the cumulative effect that it had on my life. Okay? You should become a student of your life, because everything that you do, every experience you have, has a teachable moment from. And if you go through life like me and don't pay attention to that, you will continually be slapped with the same situation. And it'll get worse and worse and worse and worse until you finally wise up and learn from your choices. Now, that could be addiction, that could be business failures, that could be relationship choices, that could be the idea that somebody's trying to push you down a path that you don't feel like you should go. Ultimately, you just have to really become a student of paying attention to what's going on in your life and trying to develop a plan for yourself of how to not only quantify where you want to be and then backtrack it to build a plan, but also collectively see where your choices have led to and understand that, am I really doing something that's taking me somewhere? Or am I just continually going on I'm on a merry-go-round that's just continually dropping me off at the same point? All right, with that, I'll leave you. Say have a good night. And remember, I'm your friend in success. I'm here for you. Building a website, therobview.com. Going going to have content on it that you can read and also content that you can download. This particular show has nothing to go along with it other than if you take notes. I think that even if you're way past learning these, you can become the dad or the mom that can teach your kid these early on, and they will have bountiful success beyond what you could do at their age because you took the time. All right, that's it. That's all I have for today. Have a great night, everybody. Go out there and make something happen with your life, and we'll see you on the next one.